In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Please be seated. Well, happy Sunday morning, everybody. Thanks for braving the elements and coming out in the rain. I think most of us are happy the rain is here. At least from my farming background for many years, I know that we need the rain very badly. And so any of it is welcome at this point in time. My guess is, though, is if El Nino comes and hits the way that it's supposed to, we may be saying, rain go away, somewhere down the road. So I bring greetings from your bishop, my boss, Bishop Mary Gray Reeves, who is on vacation, and a vacation that she duly earned to be in New Zealand with her daughter, Katie. She's there for roughly a month and relaxing. And about 16 hours ago, I saw she posted on Facebook that she went to church in New Zealand. And so she already did her church thing, and, she's probably, on to another day. That's just the way things are on another side of the world. As she says, she's on top of the world down there, down under. I'm really honored that Linda asked me to come and to be with you today. This is a very special day for you here at Good Shepherd. It's a day in which you're going to be ingathering some long-term work that has gone on here at this church. And a lot of people have made sacrifices to be able to come to this monumental day of the ingathering of your pledges for both the capital campaign and your annual giving. More about that a little bit further on. I'm the canon of the ordinary to the bishop, which means I'm sort of like the right hand to the bishop when it comes to financial affairs and administrative affairs, all things business and legal, and everything that goes on to operate a diocese of some 45 churches. And in doing that, I get the opportunity to go around and to be a part of a lot of different congregations on a lot of different Sundays and a lot of different venues. But for me to come to Good Shepherd, it's really special, because this was my first Episcopal church, and this is my church home and my church family where I was formed as a Christian some 35 years ago. And so when I come here and I'm with you, this is a homecoming for me personally, so it's just a great honor to be with you here today. In today's Old Testament lesson, it actually really has some special significance for me personally and for my family. I'd like to share a little bit about that with you. From 1 Samuel, we hear about Hannah's faithfulness and perseverance to God, despite hardships around infertility and other life challenges. And when I hear her story and I hear how she ultimately conceived a son and that God blessed her with the gift of a child, it brings me back to a time some 31 years ago when my wife Sheila and I were here at Good Shepherd, and we had a miscarriage. And we had a miscarriage, and this congregation lifted us up in prayer. And I remember coming on a Sunday morning much like this, and at the time Father Paul Danielson was the rector of the congregation. And he called us up and he asked for everybody to pray for us and to pray that God would bless us and during our time of loss. And it was a very tough time for us, but we felt the power of prayer. I need to say, as a young adult in my late 20s, that was the first time I felt the power of prayer personally in my life for a tragedy that we were going through. And this congregation lifted us up. And a little over a year later, then, my wife gave birth to our daughter, Sarah, who's now 30 years old. And 9 months ago, Sarah gave birth to our granddaughter, Willow, who's with us and with a great joy and great happiness. And I'll never forget, though, on the day that Sarah was born, my wife went over to the nursery and saw Sarah through the glass at Community Hospital over Monterey and looked there, and there was a lady in there looking inside too, and a young lady, and she had just had a miscarriage, and Sheila was able to share with her a story of hope. A story that, we lost a baby, but, now we have one, and you can have one too. And so it goes. As the church, we're lifted up in prayer. We're supported by a community of believers. We go through a tragedy, and then God blesses us. God blesses us with the gift of life, and a gift of life abundantly. And that little girl, as an infant child, was baptized in the back of this church. Sarah was baptized here at Good Shepherd. And I will never forget that day either. in the life of our family here at this church. When it comes to having gratitude and a grateful heart for what God has given us, we need to think about what our church family and what this particular place for me means in my life. And I'm going to share a little bit about that because I think it's important being a former member of this congregation, but continues to come back and forth, through the course of time. This church means a lot, and it's not just a building, it's a sacred place. It's a sacred and holy place where life events happen. And we are transformed through God's grace to be Christian people because there's Christian formation that happens in this sanctuary and in the Sunday school classrooms across the way. This is part of what we are about, and this is part of what we give to those who are here not just now, but will come to be a part of the future of this Church of the Good Shepherd here in Corral de Tierra. Here at this church, I've been prayed for. Most recently, many of you have been praying for me as I have struggled with a diagnosis of cancer in late August and had surgery 25 days ago. And I'm here to stand before you to say that the doctor said that he got it all and I'm cancer-free. And, I don't have to have chemotherapy or radiation. And it's always important to share the rest of the story, because a lot of times you get prayer requests for somebody, and they say to pray for this person, for this or for that. But what I've learned is that we're on a journey together, and it's important to share the rest of the story. And so the prayers were answered in ways that were the best that they could be. If I would have scripted out what the doctor told me a couple weeks ago, Monday, when I got the pathology report, I couldn't have asked for a better report. He gave me everything that I wanted to hear and then some. And that's the result of being lifted up by prayers of people like you sitting in this sanctuary, prayers of the people around this diocese, prayers across the country and around the world. I need to tell you that in my role and my job, my path crosses thousands of people in the course of my ministry. And I know I was prayed for by tens of thousands, and I'm going to even exaggerate. I don't think it's an exaggeration, though, hundreds of thousands of people. When I think of the 500,000 people in our partner diocese of Western Tanganyika, of the couple 100,000 people that are over in our diocese of Gloucester, of all the people that I knew were praying for me across all the churches and dioceses around this country, not to mention ours here in El Camino Real and here at Good Shepherd. When I think of that, the power of prayer that lifted me up gives me a sense of gratitude and thankfulness for my Christian family. And my Christian family is a very large family, and our God is a very good God, and a God that answers prayers, and answers prayers in a way that sometimes takes us beyond our imagination. But we have to ask. We have to ask for help, and we have to ask for people to be a part of our lives. And so when my boss told me, Brian, you have to be vulnerable and you have to be honest and you have to tell the people what's going on. I remember this sort of male pride part of me said, I don't know if I can do that. But you know what? I had to do it, as we all do. And all of us who have experienced the power of prayer and what a church family can do for us knows that we exist as a church. This building here out on Corral de Tierra as a sanctuary and a sacred place. It's a place where people come to gather and to worship our God and to give thanks and to pray for those life events as we go through the good and the bad and sometimes ugly times of life. In today's gospel lesson, when we heard from Jesus, they talked about a temple. They talked about a building. And some people would say that Jesus, sort of poo-pooed the building and said that it wasn't a big deal. But in reality, it really is something that is meant to be taken care of, and that we as Christians are supposed to be good stewards of the sacred spaces that God has given us. And so I'd like you to think about the gospel in that context, that we're caretakers of the edifice, of the sacred space, this sanctuary, the parish hall, the grounds around here. All of this are part of what God's given us to be caretakers of. And your capital campaign was a part of that. It was a part of giving honor to that and bringing, to God the fact that, we need your help, obviously, to continue on as a parish. but we also need the help of each other, and this is where financial resources and spirituality and stewardship all play together in one big package. Because we need to be able to take care of the building and make sure that it's safe. We need to take care of the building and make sure you have a good water source. You need to take care of the building's debt and pay it off so that you can concentrate on the ministries that God's called you to be a part of. And then there's the day-to-day operations that come from the annual pledge drive. You need to be able to continue to operate and to pay your staff and to be able to do the things that allow this place to be a sanctuary for people who live out in this community, to be able to be a community resource, to be able to do the great events that happen. I've been able to officiate at weddings here in this particular sanctuary, and I've participated in funerals here in this sanctuary, so on either sides of life, along with baptisms. There's a lot of things that happen in this place that we all can give thanks for as a result of having this church of the Good Shepherd. And so what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think about what this place has meant to you. The people here in the sanctuary, the ones that have come before you, that have given this place so that we can have a place to be and stay dry and out of the rain today. I want you to think about the people who are here today that have supported you and loved and cared for you, in ways that are beyond anything you could have imagined. And I want you to also think about those that will come, in the days and the weeks and the months ahead that need to have this place so that their lives can be transformed and that they can feel the kind of gratitude and thanksgiving that we have in our hearts. As we get close to the time of Thanksgiving and the Christmas season, this is an important time to really take stock of what we're thankful for and what it is that God has given us in our lives. When I think about that personally, I think about, my health, obviously, at the moment, because that has been something that has been really in the forefront of my mind. I give thanks to God for that and for the answer to the prayers. And I give thanks for my great family. Last Sunday, my mom, we celebrated her 80th birthday over in Madera with all my family. We had 50 people. And I got a big family. 34 of us were brothers and sisters and grandsons and granddaughters and great-grandbabies, as we gathered to honor my mom's life. And she had a bunch of her friends there too, and we got to do that. And I get to celebrate and give thanks for all of you as my church family, that I was formed in. My spiritual formation came from this congregation, and I give thanks for that. There was a vestry about 35 years ago that saw fit to bring me forward for holy orders in the process of the church to become ordained. My life journey in the ordained ministry started here at Good Shepherd. And that's where I was formed to be able to see where God was tapping me and calling me into a lifelong ministry that has now become my vocation. And when I think about all the other things, I could go on and on and on, all the things I'm grateful for. I'd like us all to be thinking about what that means for us. I want to say thanks to the leadership of this congregation that has done such a great job in pulling together your two campaigns for your annual pledge drive and your capital campaign. I know a lot of that's thankless ministry. I just want to thank you for your service to this congregation. And I want to thank each of you individually for you being members of this congregation and making sure that the doors are open. There was a place for me to come and get out of the cold and rain today. Without each of you present, I couldn't do that. Nor could the person who walks in the door maybe for the first time. I want to say from the top of my balding head to the soles of my feet, I love you. And I wish the best for you, and I ask God's blessing to be upon you and your families and all those that you love and care for. Not just today, but every day of your life. And I give thanks to God. I give thanks to God for the beauty of this day. We pray for all these things. We give